That's on the 22nd of October. So if you've got any projects, any films you want to get into there, get them in, man. It's a wicked, wicked festival. You can now enter, now this is fun, you can now enter our Lacey competition today for a drum roll, please. Yeah, good drum roll, yeah. You can enter it for a chance to win a 1 terabyte Lacey hard drive. So all you need to do is register details with one of the team, and we're going to draw the winner today. So one of you is going to be walking away with a 1 terabyte hard drive. Sound good? Yeah, sound good. All right, brilliant. So now, without further ado, how about we introduce our panel? So can we get a round of applause for Orlando Bryan, Annabelle Bates, Sheridan Myers, and Mark Price? Woo, woo, woo. Guys, please help yourself to some water. It's great. It's brilliant. Yeah. So why don't we start with some introductions? We can start with you, Orlando, and go down, and you can say who you are and what you do.
Okay. How's it going, everyone? My name is Orlando Bryan. I am the owner of Trident Visuals. I specialise in writing, directing, and producing of short films, and in the future, the company as a whole will move on to narrative feature films.
Hi, I'm Annabelle Bates. I'm an actress producer, and I run Honeybee Films, and we have done quite a few short films, and again we're moving into features too.
I was hoping to pull a water before it was my turn. Shit. Hello, I'm Mark. I run a company called OFS, and we just started another one called Dead Pixel. Our specialty seems to be low-budget films for the moment.
Hi, my name is Sheridan Myers. I'm a filmmaker as well. I run a company called Running Productions, and I specialise in commercials, promos, short films, but I also produced and directed a feature film last year, and we're going into more the narrative space.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for coming down, guys. Really looking forward to getting into it today. I guess a good place we can start is where you guys started. Where you started as filmmakers and how you found yourself here. So yeah, anybody wants to jump in? Mark?
Me? I think I started my first film. I wrote and directed my first feature about 2009, and Annabelle was in it. And we sold that film. And the interesting process of making a feature for the first time is when you sell it, you see how the films are handled, how you want them to be handled, and then with each subsequent film, you sort of carry on working out the model that you want to sort of slip your projects into, and you learn from those marketing things. And that's what we've got into with our new production company. We sort of specialise in these low-budget films that are financed, and the budget is essentially payroll, and we deliver these films direct into distribution, which is kind of a young thing. This is the Dead Pixel, which is our new company.
Yeah.
And this year we've got 2, and we're about to do a 3rd in November. So we've hit the ground running, and this thing seems to be happening. Yeah. So I've directed one. Now we're getting other directors in to write and direct those films and to put into market. So feature-length films, which is kind of fun.
Brilliant. Yeah. Annabelle?
So yeah, I trained as an actress, and then I got into producing in about 2010, and essentially through luck, I moved back home with my parents, and my next door neighbour happens to be a producer, and I just called her up asking for some work, and she was like, yeah, come along, and she trained me up as a producer. So I worked with her for a bit, and we did our first short together, and then I actually interned here and at the BBC, and then set up my own film company in 2013.
Cool.
Okay. For me, my filmmaking journey started in 2005 when I was in secondary school. Basically, a delegate from the BBC came in and was running like an after-school project in filmmaking. We actually made a short film about a pen. And
wow.
Surprisingly enough, that was actually screened here in the BFI.
Really?
And
it's a strong lead.
It is. And
there's pens coming and taking our jobs.
Well, it wasn't taking our jobs, but it was having a bad effect on our lives.
Okay. Evil pen.
Yeah. And to my absolute surprise, it actually, because it was competing in like a schools competition, it actually won.
Wow.
And from that day on, that's where I fell in love. Then I went to Derby University to study the subject further, and unfortunately I wasn't really feeling what I was learning, because the way I was feeling is that institution wasn't setting you up for, they didn't inform you about different opportunities out there. So after I left, I kind of fell away from filmmaking, but I did full-time taekwondo, so I had to move away from London.
Wow.
So then I came back, and now I'm at Rain Dance Film School, and since then my career has just taken off, and right now I'm in a very good place, and I'm just so happy to be in front of all my industry peers here and in front of all of you, trying to give you inspiration.
Brilliant. Wow. And if you don't pay Orlando on time, he will taekwondo your ass. Yeah. Show him.
So yeah, I started off doing like skateboard films and crazy content with just friends of mine. So I think at the beginning we were just being creative. We didn't really know what we were doing. So like we used to film ourselves beating each other up.
Happy slap.
Literally. Yeah. And then lucky enough we got a commission from E4 because they really liked the content that we were making. And during that process I just like making the most out of my surroundings. So because I lived in that urban environment, there's a lot of, I guess, urban hip hop stars. So we started making music videos for them, and then just took off from there. And during that process, started writing short films, feature scripts, and then end up making a few feature films after that.
Brilliant, man.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thanks for the intros, guys. So yeah, as this is the production company Probe, guys, let's get right into it and delve into the world of production companies. Let's kick it off by asking what a production company consists of. So let's start right at the bottom. Is it like a group of friends like you were at the beginning, just shooting what they can, or is it something more complicated than that? And yeah, so what is a production company?
Well, yeah, I think at the beginning, because I've set up like a couple of production companies now, and been part of production companies. So it wasn't until I went through a process of, like at the beginning it was kind of very informal. So it'd be like a group of mates in a room and we were just like making stuff. We didn't really have a general plan, or we didn't really know what we wanted to achieve with our production company. So we just had like a vehicle, like a creative hub, which I don't disagree with. It was like a great space, it was a great learning curve. But it wasn't until I think I set up running films where I learned more of the industry process of having a vehicle to present to clients, because I work in the commercial space as well, or present to sort of government bodies, that has like I guess a legacy behind it. So when you have like a production company, it's a good place to show, you know, a legacy that you can actually deliver a product, and that's what I think is like important when you want to move into more of the professional space. So yeah, I think after we set up our first production companies, I sort of sat down and sort of created a plan. 'Cause I think what's really important as a filmmaker is to sort of learn a niche. You know, either if you want to create feature films, learn a certain film that you think is going to be commercial viable, that you can sell, or even sell as a pitch to get the funding for to make that film. Or if it's going to be, say, a type of music video, learn, you know, you're going to have to specialize in types of music videos. I'm not saying this is like the right or wrong way, but this is after analyzing what a lot of people do, and people who are successful at doing it, they always have like an actual niche. And then after that, I think it's very important to establish yourself in the sense that you can, it's always good to like develop yourself and also sort of adapt to different ways of doing things. So you might go into creating a production company thinking, okay, I'm just going to create, you know, commercials for food clients. But for instance, like there might not be enough food clients to sort of keep your production company going.
Keep the food on the table.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's always good to adapt and sort of try and, you know, like foresee the future a little bit. Think like trends. Think, you know, like what you can do in terms of like bringing revenue into your production company.
So you'd recommend finding a niche?
Yeah, find a niche. It's always good to be like, you know, you don't want to be known as like I can do everything.
Jack of all trades.
Exactly. So you want to be known as like, okay, well, these guys actually deliver these types of TV shows. These guys
can go to them and
deliver
we know what
these
we're gonna
types of
get.
feature films or feature film, or these guys can deliver short form content. It's always good to have like that legacy behind you, because it puts you in good stead for your futures with production company.
Okay. Mark, you want to add anything?
I think the way that we work things with our production company is essentially, I used to work, I was with a company and we were pitching for the BBC for a TV series. And it was great work for a few years, but like nothing got made. We got a couple of pilots commissioned and that was it. But one of the women I worked with there, we got on really well. And so we started this production company together. Because I'm really bad with the paperwork side of things. I'm really bad at anything to do with, like, filling in forms, insurance, any of that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm just terrible at it. Yeah. But she's amazing at it. And very practical thinking, but I can make the films. So we decided to do something where we could make films for certain budgets. And this only happened last year. And that was where we ended up. So the situation we were in, we were trying to get finance for these sort of low budget films within about 35,000, 40,000, that sort of budget range. And we ended up pitching, but not much came back to us. And I sort of said, because we had a link with these financiers and Sony in the US who would distribute the films direct to DVD. And I said, well, what have you guys got in terms of poster art for projects you haven't got working yet? And they went, oh, we've got this one. And we said, well, what if we told this story to go with that cover, which is pretty much what happens at the BBC. They say, we want something that's a comedy for kids with monsters. So you write what the BBC asks, and then you come up with a story in your heart and soul goes into it, and you make something you care about. It was a similar situation with these films. So we had a poster, and I went, what if we did this, 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 and this? And they said, yeah, that sounds great. A feature film's commissioned.
All starts from a poster.
Yeah, and they want to make something like 18 of these a year. And I can't make 18, but I saw the opportunity to get other filmmakers I know in so that they can write and direct. And I don't want to sort of say, well, write it like I would write. It's like, no, you write your film, and if they like your pitch, you make that film and we'll produce it for you. So that's kind of where we're going with our company. So we're essentially just two people. Everyone else is hired. Those budgets are pretty much payroll because there's not much money to do anything else with it. And that's how we run it really. So that's our companies. That's what we've been doing for the last year. So,
Annabelle, how do you start up a production company?
Well, you meet someone, or you pick out someone, I suppose, who you want to work with, and you decide to do it, and then you
It's a good start.
you give it a name in any way you can. You can pick things out of hats or randomly point at words in dictionaries. That's what a lot of people do. Or use your names, your surnames. And then you go to company's house and you pay, what, £13 is it?
if you do it yourself, yeah, it's not much.
Yeah,
It's about 12, something like that.
£12 and set up a company, a limited production company, and then that's it. That's literally all you have to do. Then you've set it up.
That's all it takes. And then you've got a production company.
And then you've got an official production company, and obviously you set up a bank account and then start.
Yeah, that was the hardest part, because I'm more paperless now for, let's say, environmental reasons, and also I'm terrible at managing my own finances. and so getting all the paperwork together for a bank account, I was like, what? You want a bank statement? Yeah, but that's the thing. I think once you get all those things going, there's a lot of money to be made in being a company that sets up companies, because a lot of people don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
Do you know how
I'm a
filmmaking?
production company that sets up production companies.
Do you know how filmmaking is essentially people paying you a lot of money to do shit that's really, really easy? Well, that you can make money off that, right?
Yeah.
By setting up companies. Because there's a company that charges $2,000 to do it.
Are you
Like,
joking?
you just fill in a form.
Yeah,
Well,
it
Michelle fills in a form.
literally- Yeah, it takes half an hour to set up
Yeah.
a company, but then it does take a lot of time and effort to keep everything.
And a lot of paper as
floating.
well.
A lot of paperwork.
A lot of paper.
And accounts, which you can also pay someone else to do if you're no good at doing that.
So get a friend who really loves paperwork.
Yeah, I kind of
really loves
Hardest
maths.
friends to find.
I don't
Just
mind
will sit
Excel
at a table
spreadsheets,
writing
but
stuff all day for you.
yeah.
Okay. Cool, man. So so you've got this production company, but why set it up? What can it be used for, and what are the benefits of setting up a production company?
We initially started up a production company. I set mine up with David Corden to shoot our first short film together, and I think that's mainly why people normally set up a production company, because they've got an idea for a short or a feature and they want to get it made. And then after that, we started working together to find other writers and directors who were in a similar situation to us, finding it difficult to get money from places and make films, and help them make very low budget short films in a short period of time, over like a weekend, and then churn them out. And then we started doing our own stuff a bit more efficiently after that, but it depends on what you're going to say.
Obviously, there's a legal thing as well, isn't there? There's because
is it for tax purposes you can do it? Is it help saving you money?
Yeah,
I mean, it's not the area that I sort of know about. What we do when so say we've got a company, Dead Pixel. When we do a film, you register a company for that individual film.
Yeah.
The reason being that if someone decides, oh, you made a film where there's a guy in it called Gary Jenkins and he murdered someone with a hammer. Well, I'm Gary Jenkins. I wouldn't murder anyone with a hammer. I'm going to sue you for defamation of my name. Well, that's going to be, that would be the individual production company, which is that film that would get, go through the courts and all that sort of stuff. So you do it to kind of cover yourself in a weird way.
It's like a buffer.
So the legacy of your company isn't ruined whenever any Randy decides they want to sue you for some ridiculous reason.
Any Randy.
I think for me, I had a different mindset when I started mine, because what I was thinking is that when I set up my company, I want it to be a hub for those that are looking for a chance in the industry, because I know there's plenty of people out there. Because I was one of them that that want their shot, try and make a film. So when I started my company, it was only just me. And what my plan was, over time, was to find people that, of all experiences, because that's what I want Trident Visuals to be about. I want it to be, like your home. I want it to be like your hub. So, and when you're ready to, do your own thing, go right ahead, because filmmaking is not about competition, it's all about collaboration. So, and that's what, my main aim for Trident Visuals is to bring people in that's looking for that chance, and then when they've got that experience, and want to start their own production company, I will help them with that.
Okay, brilliant. And Sheridan, I saw on your bio there that you have a full service production team.
Yeah.
What can you talk us through what a full service production team is?
So basically,
because we were interested, we were like, what is that?
So for instance, if you get hired to deliver a production, so we have like creatives, we've got writers that work in-house with us. So when we get commissioned, we'd have to go through the pitching process. Once we get the job, we'll still have to do a whole creative process, which will be same as you guys might know, you might not know. Treatment, scripts, storyboards, maybe animatics, to show the client exactly what we want to deliver. And then we'll have like a production team. We've got a head of production who would manage that whole production once all of that creative is finalised. And then once we've done the production, we've got like an in-house editor that will edit it together. And if we need to, we'll hire freelancers to finish the film, where it be, graphic implements, VFX, grading, sound design, sound mixing, and then delivering to our clients afterwards.
So how many people are in your...
So we've got about 8 people.
Right, cool.
So who work with us, and then the rest are like collaborations or freelancers.
Yeah.
So you're a one-stop shop from top to tail. You
top to tail.
You do it all. And when did you set up your production company?
We set up in 2014.
So 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And roughly how many projects have you guys worked on since then?
We've done about, say, 350, 400 productions.
400 productions?
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say 30. Jesus, that's amazing.
Yeah. so that's anything from
that's like a lot,
shooting an event to shooting a music video, to shooting a short film, a feature film.
How do you delegate that much work out? Because it's a massive workload, and how do you concentrate on each one?
Yeah, so when we first started, we were like shooting so much that we had to. It was when we set up, it was just literally me and my brother. And then we were just getting booked to do loads of production. So we're like, damn, we need to like literally farm out this work with freelancers, friends, and then not a lot of sleep.
A lot of coffee.
A lot of coffee.
So you guys are all creatives in your own right, and brilliant ones at that. And do you ever delegate work out to production companies? And if so, what attributes do you look for in a production company, and what stands out if one's coming to you saying, I want to do this work?
I don't think I delegate to other companies, but I do bring in people. And again, it's a very small circle of people who then we know we can rely on to do it to a certain standard, basically. And that's the same thing we're doing with the films. It's like almost bizarrely like Roger Corman's model when he was getting Jonathan Demme and James Cameron and all those guys sort of started. It's you get a group of really talented people and you say, well, this is what we need to get made, so go and do it, and and that they can do the job really well because you've worked with them before. And it's like a film is. It's like television in that if you're good at something, you elevate really quickly through the ranks, and you could be a runner, and in less than a year you're directing. It depends on how much you put yourself out there and how hard you work and how you prove yourself to be reliable. So if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely.
That's right.
So sorry, go on.
So just to add on to what Mark said, I don't delegate to other companies, but again, we bring people in from who has their own companies. And a DOP that I worked with in my previous short film, we've only worked together once, and he has his own company. He's got about a good 20 years experience, but from that one day of working with each other, it felt like we've been working together for about 10 years because that relationship was just there. And he's really professional. He knows what he wants, and he's open to suggestions. So, I mean, if you need to delegate that work, then there are definitely people out there that you can trust with that work, because they've got a creative mind just like all of you sitting here today.
So relationships are quite important.
Yeah,
I guess.
Definitely build those bridges.
The number one thing when you're looking for somebody, is it somebody that has a specific set of skills, or is it someone that you can just get along with?
It's a bit of both, to be honest. Of course, if it's someone that you don't know, then you don't know what they bring to the table. So obviously the first thing you should do is just talk to them. It doesn't even have to be about film. It's just, you can just have general chit chat. Try to gauge what the person's about. I'd say that was like my number one piece of advice. If you're talking to someone that you don't know, make general chit chat. Try to avoid the subject film, because then sometimes the talk can get a little bit too much, and it's easy to give the wrong impression, basically.
All right, cool. So you've got your limited company now, right? You've set it up, you've got your bank account, you've got your nerdy friend who likes to do all the paperwork and stuff like that. It's brilliant. How do you find work? How do you do it, Mark? What's the secret?
Well, we set it up because we had the opportunity to go to the financiers. In fact, it all came together so quickly that the first film we didn't have time to set up the company. We just dived straight into the production. So this company this partnership, we just used our pre-existing companies. So there's two companies to represent the one company.
Right.
This is for Nightshades, this for that film. So that's what we did.
This is your feature.
Yeah, so that was the feature, and then for the Western that we did, that we had time in between in between post-production on Nightshades and starting the Western. We had an afternoon to create the company, so we were able to create the company as well. So that was when we created Dead Pixel. So yeah, it's so we did it because the work was there, which surprised us. We didn't think it would come in as quickly, and if we can do, I think by the end of this year we would have done 4 features, which is all on low budgets. But we'll see. We'll definitely start on our 3rd. I'd like to do a 4th just because I'm getting greedy. Yeah. I want to see if we can. I want to see how much it fucks us up. We're on the internet. I shouldn't say fuck. I can say fuck on the internet.
It's
Jesus
fine.
Christ.
You're allowed to swear? Yeah.
Yari swears all the time.
Yeah.
Is that why he's not allowed to?
Yeah. No, we're good. I'll just bleep it out later. So, how do you then find the money for your films in terms of raising them, and where can you raise money from? Because I know you do features as well.
Yeah. I think it's a different process. Sometimes we'll pitch to studios or individual distribution companies, and they would give us like numbers. So say, I know we attach a certain actor, or they like the concept. That value they'll give us in terms of the numbers, which are like international numbers. So think of it like the world. So there's different territories, and all those territories would cost a certain amount. Say UK would be like £30, or Japan would be £100,000, and then we'll get those numbers and then approach investors and say, look, we've got this project and it's worth, say, £400,000. Would you be able to give us £200,000 to make this production, or like 10 million, and we would raise like 3 million, depending. So that's one way we would do it. So pitch to distributors or film companies who actually sell to different markets. Or if you have like, I know, you got a gut feeling and you think, oh, this is going to be a great idea, it's going to be the next Blair Witch Project or Paranormal Activity, then I only need £80,000. Go to an investor or angel and say like, look, this is going to like blow everything out of the water. It's going to make 400 million. Please give me the money. Then you can do it that way. But it's all there's different elements to do things, and even applying online to BFI, they've got finance, or it's called soft money. So that's like government money, and then there's different I guess regional funds. So if you're from, say, the Midlands, there's a regional fund there, or if you're in Yorkshire, there's a regional fund there, and you can apply for finance there. But there's many ways to skin a cat. It depends what kind of idea you're presenting, and then if it's commercial viable, or if it's an art house project. So just think in your head where it sits in the market, and then go backwards in terms
always
of how.
start with the audience.
Start with the audience always.
Would you agree with that, Annabelle?
Yeah. Start with the audience first, and then go backwards, as you were saying. We were talking earlier about getting money out of applying for money,
slowly drawing the money out
from places like the BFI, and we talk about BFI Network, which is a great place to start. And
BFI Network is a film funding initiative, which you can get money from to make your films. Yeah,
and also you can put up stuff that you've made already, and that could be just a script, or it could be a treatment, or it could be a short film, and industry professionals will have a look at it and potentially contact you. So it's well worth putting your face on there if you can.
Do you know how much roughly you could get from them?
So if you apply for, say, short film funding, you can get, I think it's up to 15 grand.
Write that down.
For a short film, which is pretty good.
It is. It's fantastic.
So I was just going to say something real quick.
Go on.
Yeah, we actually shot something. So we did a proof of concept, because when we pitched the idea, like the actual studios weren't really getting it. They were like going, this is actually the most stupid idea ever. And then once we shot the concept, they actually got it, because you can visually actually see what it's going to be about. So
was that for the weekend, or was that?
No, this is for something else that we're about to do.
Cool.
So it's kind of like a sci-fi kung fu movie, and it's mad. So when they heard it, they were like going,
why wouldn't they get it?
I don't know, they just didn't get it. So it's like, I don't know, the Raid meets Power Rangers type thing. And then we actually convinced one of the Power Ranger guys to be in it.
No way.
And also, I don't know if you watch Star Trek, but
everyone watches Star Trek.
So who's the old Russian guy?
Russian guy in Star Trek?
Yeah.
Chekhov.
So we got Chekhov to be in it as
the
well.
original Chekhov.
The original Chekhov.
Wow.
Walter Koenig.
Yeah. So we convinced him to be in it, and then we just shot this proof of concept, because our creators, they were real geeks with VFX and stuff. They go, look, we can shoot for like £20 and we'll make it look like $1 million.
Really?
So we did that, and then we actually got a distribution deal off the back of that to raise finance. So
you went to the distributors first for that?
Yeah, we worked our way backwards, because we said, look, the audience really love it. We can blow this up at Comic-Con. There's loads of geeks that will watch this. Please give us the money.
Fans.
Yeah. Well, I'm a geek myself, so I'll go like, look, I'll watch this. And so they gave us a deal off the back of that. So yeah, if you're not great at sort of pitching, or you're not great at writing treatments, but you're great at sort of doing things visually, I'll suggest to always shoot proof of concept, because that is what it is at the end of the day. It's going to be a film. So you can have the greatest treatment or script ever, but sometimes it doesn't actually translate to actual film itself. But once you've proven the concepts, then it's much easier to get funding.
So you've got these fantastic people on board, and that sounds like it's come from a pitch. The whole way through, it seems like you're living and dying by your pitch. How important is if you've got a great idea, how important is getting it across to the right person?
Extremely.
Very important,
Extremely.
yeah.
I think the key thing is that you've got to really believe the idea, and then bring that confidence to the people that you're pitching to. The school that I'm part of now, like Rain Dance, they had a pitching session. Not a pitching session. They're doing a feature film where, the students of that class had to pitch to be the producer. Unfortunately, I didn't get it, which is okay, because and you're gonna come across these kind of situations all the time. But I knew that I was confident. I knew the idea, and as long as you walk out of that room and you feel that you can say that I did a good job, then it's okay. But once I heard that I didn't get it, a little disappointed, but quickly I got over it because there's another opportunity to pitch to be the director, which I'm going to do as well. So
get that one.
Get it.
Yeah.
So off the back of that, you could say, if one opportunity goes by, always look for the next one, because there's so many out there.
Yeah, you can always learn from things like that as
absolutely.
well. Absolutely, yeah.
How about you, Mark? How do you pitch to somebody?
I think my pitches have. I don't know if they've always gone as well. This is the thing I've found now. I found they've gone. The most successful ones I've had have been almost these BBC assignments where they say we need something that has zombies, kids, 4 kids, and you're like, okay, and you sort of reverse engineer the idea. It's almost the same as going to the audience. And it's the same thing with the films that we're doing now, where we're being given a poster in a way. And I think some of my filmmaker friends are like, that's the most horrific, the corporate way you can ever come up with a movie idea. And I thought, well, no, not really, because they do not care what that film is. They just want a shiny disc to go in that box that fits that cover art they can stick on a shelf in Walmart. So that's freedom for you. If you can turn that into the freedom to tell the story you want to tell, you get to make a feature for 20 to 35,000, and that's a great starting point for a lot of filmmakers.
Yeah.
Do you find it easier to work in those confines sometimes when somebody says, right, you've got to write this and it's got to have these certain attributes in the film?
Well, all the films that I direct or I want to make, there's always some very deep personal connection to them. So when you start off going, okay, well, this is the brief, how do I take the themes that mean a lot to me as a filmmaker and put them, work them into this story? That's kind of part of the challenge. And sometimes it just doesn't click, and I'm not interested in that one. I don't want to make that one. So we'll pass on projects. But a lot of the time, we can find stuff that we really like. Night Shooters was entirely my idea, and we found someone to finance that. But there was lots of, there were things in the script that some of the feedback came from the script saying like, oh, we're worried about these characters being a bit thin. I was like, no, they'll be fine. When we shoot this, it'll be fine. Because I know how those characters are going to come off the page. I don't need you to be able to read it. We're doing this film for 40 grand. You're getting off cheap. Just give us a damn money or we'll go somewhere else. There's plenty of people to find. And so it's sort of worked out quite nicely in that sense, and that kind of worked for us. It's not going to work all the time. That's not necessarily confidence. That's possibly a good dollop of stupidity as well. Maybe arrogance, but I think that going in with that sort of, let's call it confidence, it helps you get the stories you want made. If you're pitching a story, you've got to pitch it like you would describe having seen a film that you've loved. You go on, so when you come in and say, oh, I just saw this great movie and this, then this happened and then this happened, and if you can pitch your story like that, people are like, Jesus, I want to see this movie, and that's what you're trying to do in a pitch. So yeah,
excitement.
Yeah. It's not so like, well, this is going to happen, and then plot point A is,
cool
it's like, oh, good, this sounds terrible. But I think it's about coming at things with enthusiasm, and that always works. And where we are at the moment, we're getting these lovely projects that can either be terrible movies or good movies. It's in the hands of the filmmakers, and that is exciting to me.
Yeah. Sheridan, have you ever had like a product which you've believed in so much and just so happy with it, but the pitch has just not been that great?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I've had projects and I was thinking this would just be the best project ever, but suddenly like you fell on the actual delivery of like pitching to the right person at the right time. So I think like everything has like a reason not to happen, and you always hear like in studios, especially in like Hollywood or even like Bollywood, like it takes some projects like 20 years to get off the ground, or like 10 years or 8 years or 5 years, and that's just the norm. So I think, like, if there's one thing you should take away from today, is like, definitely don't be disheartened if like you go for a pitch and it doesn't really happen, because that's the whole process, and it's sort of learning that process of like going into situations and being let down, because you always learn from that situation and you always grow from that situation. So yeah, like I've been there as thinking, oh, this is easy, I'm going to pitch this, no worries. And then you get there and you're thinking, oh man, that didn't go so well. They didn't get it. But then you might get a phone call later on, and you might get them to, you know, commission something else for you. So they're like, oh, we didn't like that, but like you were saying before, like when you go into, I know, your BBC situation, and they're like, well, we want actually this, can you do this for me? And that's a process as well, like going in thinking like, okay, I want to do this, but being able to adapt to certain situations for a client or even a distributor, because, you know, like once you get a little bit later down the line, when you're sort of doing more commercial films, like once you've delivered that film, that's not your film anymore. That's that
you're handing it over.
You're handing it over. So you're going to be disappointed. Like you hear all these stories, like directors like having bust ups with, you know, big studio companies. But that's the nature of the beast, because it's up to them to deliver to the audiences that they know, and you have to trust that sometimes.
With all the bigger companies, I've always gone in with one pitch, and they've always gone, okay, what else have you got? And I was like, so I always have another idea, because I was in one once, and they just went, what have you got? And there's a filmmaker from the BFI, Nida Manzo, and she's great, and she bought an arcade machine for a short film she wanted to make, and they went, so I pitched this film that we had planned out, and they said, what else have you got? And I went, Nida's arcade machine. Okay, a group of kids fix a computer game that they find in an old 80s arcade in an alley. They play the game to completion. They get the weapons of the characters they were playing and become sort of superheroes. And then the guy went, go on. Oh, okay. So their best friend, when they play the game, lots of gremlin type creatures come out and they have to fight them off, but they're not very good. So they get their mates to play the game, and then he loses and gets possessed by the main bad guy, and now their best friend is their villain. They went, that's great, write that, you're some money. I was like, okay. I was like, what the fuck did I just say? And it was just like nonsense. But then
what I just said.
Then all that bullshit turned into this story that I genuinely cared about, and put all this sort of like this personal stuff into it, which is the next phase. And it went from just trying to get a job to like one of my favorite ideas. And you know, after a while, because of course the rights revert back to you if they don't make it after a while, so we got that back, and now I'm like, I want to make this as a feature, let's see what we can do. So we're pushing for that one to be a feature now, but it might cost a bit more than 35 grand. Lasers are expensive, I think.
So you should always try and have
another idea, or something, just another couple of concepts, because someone always said that to me, and I was like, okay, yeah, and I didn't listen. And when I went into that situation, and it was a case of, if I would have just gone, no, I haven't got anything else, they were going, okay, great, well, you know, enjoy your coffee, I'm off. But instead, that company, that's where I ended up through that pitch, meeting the producer I'm in business with now. If I hadn't got that far, I wouldn't be with this person who can fill in forms so well. And, and genuinely produce brilliantly, which I can't do.
It's like a thing with Steve Carell was pitching to Judd Apatow, and they were speaking for like 45 minutes, an hour about a film, and he was like, yeah, it's all right. And on his way out the door, he was like, he pitched him 40-Year-Old Virgin, in like 30 seconds, he was like, I can sell that tomorrow. So you should always try and have something which... something else.
Always have concepts up your sleeve.
Sure. And do you think in that situation, the investors are investing in the people or the projects? Like, are they investing in you, or are they investing in your ideas?
It's a bit of both. I mean, I think almost the norm is they're invested in the project they think will make them the money. But at the same time, if they can prove that they like you, I mean, because the film that we've done, the Western, the standard of film they're used to is usually pretty shitty, and they just make their money back and everyone's happy, but they're really happy with what we've done, because one of our thing with our company is we want to, you see that cover, you're going to see the movie that cover is promising. That's what we want to do. We don't want to do the old thing of, you suckers, now here's 11 minutes worth of end credits, because it's not really a feature, it's a bit short. We're not,
super slow.
We don't want to do that. We want to make a film so when you watch, you go, hey, shit, that was all right, that was cool. You know, that's what we want to do. Better than all right, obviously. We want to aim high that. But, you know, that's what we want. And so that was what we made. So the first time they want to screen the film that we've produced. They're like, oh, we'll show this to the investors. We're pleased with this one. I like this one. You know, so that's what we're trying to do, is just elevate the product a little bit more. Sorry to call it product. That's disgusting.
Elevate the product. It's like a yogurt or something.
When I make it, it's my movies and I love them. But when someone else makes it, it's just a product.
Yeah. Does it all lie in the product, in the quality of the product, and in terms of getting your name out there, Annabelle? Is it? Do people come to you because they know you can deliver a fantastic project?
Interesting. I don't know. I think it is like, you know, if your end film or music video or commercial or whatever it is that you're making is good, then you will end up getting more work for sure. If it's not very good, then you can still end up getting work. No. I mean,
there are no goddamn rules in this business.
You can make a really bad film and still get work afterwards.
You must be a really lovely person.
Well, yeah. I just think if you can learn from your mistakes, then people will give you another shot. So,
How do you get your name out there, Orlando?
So,
the name of your production company.
So just to add on to what Annabelle said, because again, if you make content that is really good and people have seen that, then again you'll get noticed. Right, I want to take it away from the business side a little bit and talk about film festivals, because some of the festivals that I have applied my previous short film that I've just did was actually picked up from Film Freeway.
So that's good.
Yeah,
and if for anyone who doesn't know out there, what is Film Freeway?
So Film Freeway is a hub that shows you different film festivals that's around the world. So you've got film festivals here in London, Yorkshire, Reading. You've got film festivals in Hollywood, and for anyone, I mean, just take a bit of time after this session and just go to www.filmfreeway.com. Just take a look at what's out there, because some of them are BAFTA qualifying and some of them are Oscar qualifying.
Some of them are free to get into as well, aren't
Exactly.
they? Seoul Film Festival, BAFTA qualifying.
Exactly, and
BFI qualifying.
especially for the free ones, you've actually got nothing to lose. You know, just go for it. Just take the project as far as you can go. But
would you suggest doing that, just shooting for the stars and taking them as far as they can possibly go?
Absolutely. If you've got that ambition, reach for the sky. But to go back to the question, to get your name out there, you just got to, keep networking. This is what I do. Keep networking. Keep talking to people. Have that online presence.
You're saying you do a lot of social media.
A lot.
Isn't that how you ended up on this stage, by networking?
Absolutely. I mean, I've got Mark to thank for the reason why I'm here, because we met through a mutual colleague, and we just got talking about our projects, and I mean, the rest is history from there. Like Night Shooters is what he was doing at the time, and I took a real great interest into that. And I've seen the snippets of it. I'm not going to spoil it for you. You just have to wait and see. But it is an awesome film.
I'm ruining it for everyone. I'm like, there's a bit, and then I kill this character.
I don't care about the spoilers.
I know I should be better at that. I just assume that no one will watch it though, so I'm just like, I'm
going to tell you anyway. Never see it. So do you rely quite heavily on social media to get the name of your company and yourself out there? And how important is social media in today's film industry?
Social media, for me, is very important. Very, very important. My situation is that because I have that strong online presence, I have different people, contacting me, whether they be actors, producers, directors. Now, the two platforms I recommend are Facebook and Instagram. The one personally that I don't recommend is Twitter. Simple reason is that because there's a lot of restrictions on Twitter, and the better opportunities are on Facebook, because you get job postings on Facebook, so you can immediately message the person that's posting it. Even if you don't get it, just say, okay, I'm this person, I can do this, so the next project that you have, please consider me. So having that strong online presence is very, very important. There's also the option of spending a little money on marketing, like promoting your page, which is what I do sometimes, and that helps to get you out there as well.
Get some traffic coming through that way.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, it's all, for me, social media is important. Without it, you won't get as far.
That's really good actually, because for the marketing for Night Shooters, one of the things we did was there's a friend of mine who's got a YouTube channel, and he's managed to get 100,000 subscribers, and he said, let's do an interview. You can give me some clips from your film and I'll do an interview. And I thought, okay, that's great. And I thought, well, you know that you should be making money out of this, right? And he said, no, I just want to help. And I think if you break that down in terms of, and he wants to put it out when the film's out on iTunes. The reason being, if he puts that interview, say he's got 100,000 subscribers. So YouTube subscribers are different to a blog that has something like 200,000 people that have.
They're very engaged.
You can't rely on them to have watched or read that article. But with YouTube, if 10%, and this is aiming quite low, if 10% of his audience decide, oh, that looked interesting, I'll buy that on iTunes for £3.49, and let's just round down to £3. That's 10,000 units shifted at £3. That's 30 grand we've made on a film that cost us 40 grand to make.
You've nearly made back all your money.
And before this, I would be like, no, don't try to make your money back through unit sales, get territory sales. That's where you're going to make your money back.
Why would you suggest territory sales? Because you can buy and sell different pieces for different amounts?
Just because if your standard MG is about 10 grand.
What's an MG?
Minimum guarantee.
Minimum guarantee.
So a distributor in France will say, oh, we'll buy this film off you for £10,000. Great, there we go, that's done. I need to sell it 3 more times and we've broken even. We're kind of in profit if we sell it to more places. That's not even including unit sales. So in the UK alone, with unit sales, we have the potential to make that money back. So if you go to YouTube, people with like a good, even like Instagram following, Twitter following, and you can track this stuff yourself. You can say, oh, only 2,000 people watched that video on a channel with 100,000 subscribers. Okay, maybe let's keep finding other people and give them exclusive things to post. And I didn't realize I was a victim of this guy's marketing as well, because he'd done a video on a documentary about the guy who made Rocky. He'd done some sort of review of it or talking about its availability, and I was like, oh, let's see if I can download this from somewhere. Oh, look, it's on iTunes, so I bought it.
That's what I wanted.
So you know it works.
Yeah, and it worked. I was like, holy shit, we're a victim of this this marketing. This is great, and that's it's a good way to get a low budget film out there.
How about you, Sheridan? Do you ever use people with influence online in your films or your projects?
Yeah, massively. I think it's important, especially if you're looking to cast your film as well. Using people who have, that's what Hollywood do all the time. They get these stars who people know about, so they can get the PR and the interviews. But if you're working within a budget restraint, you can grab people who have like massive influences online, and then put them in a film, and then they can promote for yourselves, like your guy who has 100,000 subscribers. Sorry. So
that'd be great.
We made 10 quid. And just think of like different angles how to promote your film online. We've also used like music stars to put in our films to promote, or we've created like music and albums that promote our films and vice versa. And that really helps because it gives you a different angle, so you can go on not just the film blogs, but you can now go on the music blogs, and sometimes you can go on the fashion blogs because there's general interest between music and fashion. So just think of like different angles to help promote your product or your film or your passionate project.
It feels so bad I said product now.
I know, everyone's going to be saying it. But yeah, I think we're in a day and age where content is king, but also the means of promoting it is like there for everyone to see.
Sorry, to add on to that. Again, and if you have that level of ambition for your films, what I suggest to all of you, especially if you want to make it like bring it that far, is to actually create like a little website for it, just to promote it a little bit. And then use tools like Google AdSense, or Google's got a lot of SEO tools that it can search for the keywords in that relative field, so you can apply that to your website, and that's how you bring in more traffic in. So that brings in more attention to your film. And to add on to Mark's point about YouTube, you can even like make money off that, because if you have a certain amount of subscribers, then you earn like a certain amount of money per views. So there's lots of different ways you can generate revenue that you can either
Gonna put that back towards your project.
to the next project.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant. All right, guys. I think we're running out of time, but sadly, as a quick shoot round, super quick. What would be some practical advice you'd give to young filmmakers out there who are just starting out, maybe in their careers?
Okay. So first of all, a show of hands, who's got a smartphone? Okay.
My God, someone doesn't.
Weirdo. You have something that you can make a film. There's absolutely nothing that's stopping you from going outside after this session and make a little something. If you think you need money, you don't. All you need is your phone, 2 or 3 people, make a minute film. You've just done something that you've wanted to do.
Go out and shoot.
Yeah.
Go out and shoot.
Just go out and shoot. Just do it.
Yeah, I was going to say, make stuff, just do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and find out something about you that's different, I think.
I'm struggling. I'm stretch out a bit. I mean,
You need more time. And when you found that, no, go on.
yeah, it's the same thing, except I think, again, to sort of like add to what you were saying, it was, my cinematographer on one of our recent projects shot on an FS7, which he was like, I can't make a movie on this. I said, of course you can, because you just have this camera, so you think for some reason it doesn't qualify as something that can make a real film. I think sometimes that's the mindset, and that's what we've got when we've got our phones. There's a guy who used to come here called Will Webb. He did a side-by-side comparison of a DSLR with certain grading on it and mobile phone. And there is a difference, obviously, but not that much.
Okay.
You know, and when your platform is YouTube and not IMAX,
Yeah.
you can pretty much make a movie. So it's fine. So just make something and make shit. Be bad, because the next one you make will be better. And that's the trick. You got to keep making.
It's a craft, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
like the more you work at
You have to
something,
do
the
it to
better
get
you'll
better.
get.
Don't
Yeah.
be afraid to make those mistakes.
Yeah, I would say, find people who are like-minded, who want to create the same sort of content you want to make. 'Cause I think what's really important is like go out and network, but also build a gang. When I say build a gang, build like a team of people who want to create.
Get
with you.
balaclavas.
Yeah,
That's cool if you
build a crew, because the one thing that
Not a
that
gang.
makes films, money don't really necessarily make films. People make films. So like think who lives down your street, who's really funny, or who can do acting, who can cook, who can, that's what it's about. If you're starting at like ground level, like just like get a team that can create. So that's really important, because that team is going to go through you for years and years and years.
Brilliant. Guys, please, a round of applause for our panel. Brilliant. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Ladies and gents, it is now time. Hello, check, can you hear me? Yes, you can. It is now time for the Hive Short of the Month. So please come on stage. A round of applause for our winner of the Hive Short of the Month. Sit. How are you, Louise?
Yes, good, thank you.
Good. So please, quickly tell us a bit about your film, how it came about, how much it cost, everything.
Pillow Talk came about really out of kind of where these guys have just come from, about the need to kind of continue creating something. And were you
in a situation where you hadn't created for quite a little while?
It'd been 2 years since I did my last fiction short film. In the meantime, I had made a documentary. I'd been shortlisted for London Calling, but hadn't got the money. Yeah, I know. So I kind of had to dig myself out of this kind of creative hole, and I was like, what can I make with no money in my house? With, very little money, very minimal crew, one location, one shoot day, 2 characters. And I kind of dreamt this film and then wrote it the next day.
And how long was the whole process from writing it to finishing it?
I wrote it in a week. I think pre-production was about a month, shot it in a day, and post was about a month.
Wow. And quickly, what's it about?
It's about two best friends who are 15, so it's like a coming of age film, and basically one of the friends challenges the other friend about her sexuality, which prompts her to kind of discuss something for the first time that she's been thinking about a lot but never really had the guts to say out loud.
Okay, really looking forward to see it. So guys, round of applause for Louise.
Hello, so.